By the age of 20, he was a king. By 25, he had never lost a single battle. By 30, he had built one of the largest empires the world had ever seen, stretching from Greece all the way to India. His name was Alexander the Great, and in our last video we told you the story of Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt. Today we go back almost 300 years before her, to the young king who conquered the world she was born into. Welcome back to the World Story English, the channel where history teaches you English. Today I'm here with the story of Alexander the Great. Alexander was born in the year 356 BC in a kingdom called Macedon in the north of Greece. His father was King Philip II, a strong and ambitious ruler. His mother was Queen Olympias, a powerful woman who believed her son was destined for greatness. When Alexander was a boy, his father hired a very famous teacher for him, the philosopher Aristotle. Yes, that Aristotle, one of the most important thinkers in history. For several years, Aristotle taught young Alexander about science, medicine, poetry, and philosophy. There's a famous story from Alexander's childhood. When he was just 12 years old, a horse trader brought a wild, powerful horse to the king's court. The horse was so dangerous that nobody could ride it. But young Alexander noticed something. The horse was afraid of its own shadow. So Alexander turned the horse to face the sun, calmed it, and rode it perfectly in front of everyone. His father Philip was amazed. He said, "My son, you must find a kingdom big enough for your ambition, because Macedon is too small for you." That horse, named Bucephalus, say Bucephalus, would stay by Alexander's side for the next 20 years through nearly every battle he fought. In 336 BC, when Alexander was only 20 years old, his father King Philip was murdered. Alexander became king of Macedon almost overnight. Many people did not expect the young new king to survive long. Neighboring kingdoms saw a young ruler and thought, "This is our chance to attack." Cities that had been controlled by his father tried to break free. Alexander responded quickly and powerfully. He crushed every rebellion. Within 2 years he had secured complete control over Greece. The message was clear. This king, despite his young age, was not to be underestimated. Then Alexander turned his attention to something much bigger, the massive Persian Empire, the most powerful empire in the world at that time. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed into Asia with an army of about 40,000 soldiers. This might sound like a lot, but the Persian Empire he was about to fight had access to millions of people and far greater resources. Almost everyone expected Alexander to fail. Instead, he won battle after battle. At the Battle of Issus and later at the Battle of Gaugamela, Alexander defeated Persian armies that were many times larger than his own. He did this using brilliant strategy, attacking at unexpected angles, moving faster than his enemies expected, and inspiring incredible loyalty in his soldiers who would follow him anywhere. In 331 BC, Alexander achieved his greatest victory. He completely defeated the Persian Empire at the Battle of Gaugamela. The Persian king, Darius III, fled the battlefield. Not long after, Darius was betrayed and killed by his own men. With Persia defeated, Alexander became the ruler of the largest empire the world had ever known. He was only 25 years old. But Alexander did not stop there. His ambition was endless. He pushed his army further east, through Central Asia, and eventually into India. In India, Alexander fought one of his hardest battles against King Porus, who commanded an army with war elephants, animals Alexander's soldiers had never faced in battle before. Despite the difficulty, Alexander won again. But here something unexpected happened. His own soldiers refused to go any further. After years of marching, fighting, and being away from home, Alexander's army was exhausted. They had followed him across thousands of miles, and they wanted to stop. Reluctantly, the great conqueror agreed. He turned back. It was the first time in his life that Alexander did not get what he wanted. In the year 323 BC, Alexander returned to the city of Babylon in modern-day Iraq. He was planning new conquests, new campaigns, more of the world to bring under his control. But then, suddenly, he became very sick. Historians still debate the exact cause. Some believe it was a fever, others suspect poison, and some believe it was a disease made worse by his many old battle wounds. Within just 2 weeks, Alexander the Great was dead. He was only 32 years old. He had conquered nearly the entire known world, but he never got the chance to grow old. Alexander died without a clear plan for who would rule after him. His generals, powerful men who had fought beside him for years, immediately began fighting each other for control of his empire. Within a few decades, Alexander's massive empire had split into several smaller kingdoms, each ruled by one of his former generals. One of those generals, named Ptolemy, took control of Egypt. Ptolemy's family, the Ptolemies, would go on to rule Egypt for the next 300 years. The very last ruler of that family, the last pharaoh of Egypt, was a queen we've already told you about, Cleopatra. Alexander the Great built an empire that stretched across 3 continents before he turned 33. He spread Greek language, culture, and ideas across the ancient world, an influence still visible in art, architecture, and language today. And in a strange twist of history, the empire he built eventually led, generations later, to the rise of the very queen whose story we told you last time. History, it turns out, is more connected than it first appears. If you enjoyed learning Alexander's story and a few new English words with it, subscribe for a new story every week. Next time, we're traveling to a very different empire to meet a conqueror from the East whose name still makes people afraid nearly 800 years later. Turn on subtitles, and we'll see you there.